Hey guys, Chad here with Exodus Trail Cameras. Today we want to chat a little bit about our new external power source product, the SP18, how to use it, how to get it set up, and get going in the field. The SP18 is a standalone power source that offers 3 amp hours of capacity from the built-in 18650 rechargeable cells inside the actual panel. And this is compatible with any Exodus Trail camera and 12-volt device with proper connection. So the first thing you're going to want to do when you receive this product is use the AC/DC converter and get this charged at home for 24 hours, and making sure you have full capacity on those on the internal batteries. So once you have that, you're going to want to take your connection cord that comes with the product and get that out to the field. Here we already have an Exodus render mounted to a tree. We highly recommend with any cell camera that you use an external power source. With the Exodus render, the SP18 is a perfect fit. From here, you're going to want to figure out which direction is going to offer the most sunlight. Us, for being a northern state, facing these things south is going to give you the most available sunlight. As you see, we're in a pretty heavily canopied area right now. We're underneath a pretty big maple tree with a big top. So there's kind of a shaded area. This panel will still work in the shade. It does not have to have direct sunlight for it to charge those internal batteries. Obviously, the more direct sunlight, the better it's going to operate, but it's not an absolute necessity. So don't be worried if you're hanging these things in somewhat of a canopied or shaded area. And also keep in mind that come fall, when the foliage drops, there's going to be a lot more available sunlight. We have our Exodus render mounted, set up, ready to go. On the SP18, we offer a couple different mounting options. There's 2 1/4-20 inserts. There's one on the bottom, and then there's also one in the back to give you two different options depending on what style or kind of mount that you're using. On this specific set, we have a cam lock box ball and socket swivel mount, made in America. This is our choice to use with cameras and the SP18. It clamps down really tight and prevents any animals or anything tampering with this device and possibly causing it to move. Some other mounts on the marketplace have that problem, so this does not. So that's why we choose this. So we're gonna get this thing for illustration purposes set up right next to the camera. You can see kind of what we're doing. This specific mount has a couple different mounting options. You can either use slag screws and screw it in if you're on private and you feel like it's going to be a fixed location, or there's a slot for a strap. Here we are going to use paracord. A lot of the sets that we're hanging this year, we're doing away with the strap and going to paracord just because it's a little less noticeable. Obviously, in this case, with 2 devices hanging from the tree, it may not make that big of a difference. But if someone's coming in from the back, that strap's not visible. So just have a loop tied there on one end, and we'll fish that loose end through and get this thing mounted. So get it wrapped around the tree here. Fish this loose end through our loop, and we'll be able to cinch this down pretty darn tight. So we have this mounted, secured to the tree with this ball and socket design. It gives you a lot of range, a lot of freedom to get this thing angled precisely how you want it. So we're going to go ahead and angle this thing up. The biggest priority when you're mounting this to a tree is to make sure that the external ports, your DC ports, are facing down. So here you have your 2 DC ports, your DC in, your DC out, and then your 4 LED indicators. You want to make sure that those are pointing down to keep this product out of the weather and make sure that there's no moisture. So from there, your SP18 is mounted to your tree, angled the way you want it. Camera's mounted. You're going to take the connection cable, and you'll notice that there are 2 different size connection pins on this cable. So the smaller diameter pin with the yellow tip is going to be plugged into the panel on the DC out. So if you're facing the panel, that's on the right side, and then the larger diameter pin is actually going to go into the camera. But before we do that, as you see, this cable is about 5 foot long. There's quite a bit of slack here. You're going to want to make sure that you do something with the slack. You don't want it dangling around where a stick can catch it, fall on it, unplug this, or an animal or something curious animal come over and start playing with it. So what we like to do is just take the slack, wrap it around the tree a few times, back around the mount if you have to, and you don't want to make it super tight, but just give yourself just a little bit of slack, to where you're not putting too much stress on anything. But so we're plugged into the panel. We're going to take the larger diameter pin, and we're just going to plug that into the DC external power port on. Our camera's already powered on. It's one thing with our cameras that you're going to want to do is make sure that's powered on before you plug this in. So your case is all locked in. So there you go. You have your panel set up, the camera's set up and on, you're plugged in, and you are ready to go. Now, if we were, a little more concerned about hiding this setup, we would do this a little bit different for illustration purposes, and to give folks an idea of how to get this thing set up. This is a great example. No straps, all your slack and your cables nice and neat, not too much tension, and you are off to the races with your new SP18. So hope you guys find this information somewhat valuable. Hope it helps getting things set up in the field. And as always, if you like it, leave a comment and smash that subscribe button for us.